Welcome to Bishop Justus. Hey, it's a great day out there in this world today. Let me just give you a quick quote before we get started. I always want to start things with the Lord. Psalms 34:1. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. This show is about religion, politics, business, movers and shakers in Augusta, Georgia area. We thank you for tuning in and welcome me back onto TV after a long vacation. And my last time was on 1998 when I was on TV. So I thank the opportunity to get back on there. Let me briefly say my sponsors. First of all, Katina Burke & Associates, Tax Services, 3208 Mike Paget Highway, Suite E, Augusta, Georgia 30906. Her telephone number is 706-877-3332. She says she does any type of tax service you need, give her a call. Q's Chicken and Waffle, 1268 Anderson Avenue, Augusta, Georgia 30901. That phone number is 706-364-1213. He says come down there and see about his Q Burger. Also, we have State Farm. I'd like to thank Hope Brantley, who lives right across the street, his office right across the street from me. C. Capri Hyde, his office rep. They're 2501 Wrightsboro Road, Augusta, Georgia, 30904. That phone number is 706-733-6744. One brief announcement. The Georgia Liner Race Relations Summit, Empowerment Through Total Involvement, will be held at Hudson Memorial CMN Church, number 2 Taylor Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30901. That is Saturday, February 18th, 2012 at 1:30 p.m. The point of contact for that is Reverend Larry Fryer, who is also the pastor of Hudson Memorial CME. His phone number is 706-399-1292. The topics will be about jobs, housing, education, and civil and human rights. Okay, well, with that said, we think we got everybody covered there. Today's guest, a great man of God, a great military leader. He bailed me out. I called him at the last hour to come and be a guest on the show for Black History Month. He did not tell me no. He said, what time I got to be there? I'll be there. What we're going to talk about? And I'm coming. Well, without further ado, I got his picture right here that I got out of the book. Ulisses Wesley Maize. Mr. Maize, thank you for coming.
Pleasure to be here.
Can I call you Ulisses?
Please do.
Okay. I just want to make sure. You know, when somebody's older than you, you want to get permission. I come from that old school of respecting your elders and getting permission. But we got some similarities here. Tell me about a little bit where you're from.
Well, I hail from Little Rock, South Carolina. That's 5 miles northeast of Dillon, South Carolina. Very small, 2 streets, 1 caution light. But some very good people live there. And
you know, I read your bio. Very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. Matter of fact, I was telling you about you live from Little Rock,
yes.
over by Dillon,
yes.
which is over by south of the border.
Exactly.
I used to go there every summer. I used to come down from New York City to come to where my father is from, Marion County, South Carolina, and come down there. So you had to, I know you remember those signs, 100 miles to south of the border,
yes.
90 miles south of the border.
Still there.
Yeah. So
still there.
So when we used to drive down from D.C. or New York, we always see those signs. We know how close you are to south of the border. And I thought that was, what's the main one's name? Is Pedro? Pedro. See, I remember. Pedro. Well, today is, what we're getting is starting off Black History Month on this show. This week and 2 weeks from now, we're going to have another show, and the topic, again, is Black History. But I was talking about something, me and you were talking in the lobby before we started, and I was talking about something I watched on TV this morning. And it was about William Steele and the Underground Railroad. But the thing that shocked me, Ulysses, was the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. Now, I told you, relayed what I knew about. I looked at it on the internet, memorized it. So share with that what I was talking to you about.
Exactly. What it was when, even though slavery was free, if they went north, the people in the South were obligated to go get them from the north and bring them back as slaves. And if people in the north harbored them in any way, they could be held accountable by law.
Boy, that is something, because now you done escaped.
Yes.
You're up living up north. You're thinking you're free. Now all of a sudden the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was passed by Congress.
Exactly.
And that actually made the police force, turned the police force into bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters.
And what happened was that the plantation owners would send people up to the north to get you and bring you back. And if anybody knew that you were a free man, they can be in prison or fined. So the act was to suppress the Underground Railroad. But remember what I told you in the lobby,
Yes.
it did the complete opposite effect. What happened was the Underground Railroad got stronger, and they wound up going to Canada, and that's why you have so many blacks to this day,
To this day.
in Canada. Tell me about some black pioneers that you like.
Well, I really like Dr. Carter Woodson, the founder of Black History Month. Actually, it was Black History Week. And when I was growing up, we was under the misconception that Black History was February, because February is the shortest month, but it has nothing to do with it. It's because Dr. Woodson decided that he wanted to recognize President Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, and whose birthday both fall in February. So that's why February is Black History Month, for that reason only.
That's a good point because, I know the history of it, but a lot of people think that Black History Month is because it's the shortest month of the year. And like you explained, that's not the case. I know that we also share something else in common. One of our favorite people, and I told you my story about in the Cub Scouts, where I was supposed to write what the Cub Scouts meant to me, and I wrote about what Martin Luther King Jr. meant to me.
Yes.
I told my dad I wasn't going to win, but I was going to get second place, and sure enough, I got second place. But tell me about that person that we both admire a lot.
I'll tell you, Dr. King is really my hero. When the things that he went through for us, the sacrifice he made, and the ultimate sacrifice he made to the world by being assassinated and just living in a dream. And I was lucky enough to be a part of his memorial. I was on that committee.
Oh, okay.
Up in D.C., and we put it together, and it was a great ceremony.
Yeah, I see something on here called Little Rock 30. Now tell me about that. I remember I was telling you, every time I think Little Rock, I'm thinking Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yes.
Because in Little Rock 30, is that part of the group they had to sit in, or what is that?
Little Rock 30, and I've gotten many calls about that. Little Rock 30 is actually, I came up with that. I grew up in Little Rock, and I spent 30 years, 20 days, and 10 and a half hours in the military, so Little Rock 30.
Oh, I see. I was wondering. I was about to ask you where you part of the sit-in in Little Rock, Arkansas. Were you the ones, with that segregation? I told you the story about where I used to live up in Alexandria, Virginia, where T.C. Williams Remember the Spartan. That was my high school. And that was between 72. When we came back from Germany in 72, I didn't, segregation, I think, just stopped or whatever. But I didn't feel any of that. We had the first black house.
Right.
Back then, black people in the military didn't buy a house. You stayed on base. My dad bought a house, and one of the few soldiers that lived off base. I think that was the first time we actually lived off base because, in the military, they provide for us soldiers. And so most of the time during my military career, I tried to stay on base. But then one time, I remember towards the end of my career, I decided to buy a house and move off post to experience that and get used to, I guess, to acclimate to the civilian life. But what other black pioneers? Because we like we said, we wish we had all day to talk about this. Well, we don't, we could. But tell me another black pioneer of the past that inspires you.
I'll tell you one that most military and most civilians never heard of. Sergeant William Walker. When blacks joined the Civil War, blacks was paid $7 and white soldiers were paid $13. So as a result, Sergeant Walker, he protested by stacking arms, which means he and his platoon refused to work. As a result, he was court-martialed and reduced to the rank of private, and he was faced in front of the firing squad in front of his men to teach them a lesson. So I say he was assassinated because you look at assassination, that means to be killed for a political reason. And he's a real hero of mine, and he's the reason right now that everybody's paid equally in the military. Sergeant William Walker, look it up.
That's a good point. I didn't know. All the time I spent in the military, I know there's a whole lot of black history facts that, to me, I think we take for granted.
We do.
Not knowing that African Americans set the standard and trailblazers for that. I can go on and on. Dr. Hale, first open heart surgery, blood transfusion. We can go on and on. My mother, when I was growing up, she gave me a box of 50 cards, famous black historians.
I've seen them.
You're right.
Yes, sir.
And I wish I still had them to this day because they're collector's items. I had to memorize not only the people on the front of the card, the information, you flip the back over.
Exactly.
And it tells you all the information. For all 50 of them, I had to know the person and the information on the back.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was like in 1972 and 73. And so my mother kept me up to date on black history. But she always said that our family is not about the color of your skin. Make it that the person hires you based on your merit and skill. So a lot of times you find people play the race card, and it kind of makes it hard for other people when you play the race card. You know, this show is about politics, religion, and business. And my thing is when you go into business, anybody patronize my business, I want it because I provide a good service.
Absolutely.
So the playing the race card, I think we need to stop. I know you don't do it, I don't do it, but we know it goes on. Well, today's Trailblazers, of course, we can start with President Obama and end the conversation.
Exactly.
And call it a day. The first black president. Actually, he's not really the first black president because there was another black president before him with the Continental. But we'll be here all day talking about that. They had presidents before George Washington. But today's Trailblazers, who inspires you today?
I'll tell you, I had a conversation with the Reverend Al Sharpton, and the way he goes about his business is, look, things not right, and I'm here to make things better. He can't solve the world problem or the U.S. problem, but he's a torch bearer for right, and I really admire the way he sticks up, put himself on the line, and actually he has been stabbed at one time when he was in New York doing a protest. He was at a signing autographs, and someone went and stabbed him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Did you bring them handcuffs with you? Tell me about those handcuffs, because let me stop talking, let you talk, and you tell me that story there.
We all know the history of slavery. This right here, these are handcuffs or bracelet ankles, however you want to use them. And what these was used for, it says on here, Negro, woman, or child only. And it's from Georgetown right here in South Carolina, right across the river.
That's right.
What happened was, you won't use for men or women. When say if you were a slave and you ran away, prime example. When you got back, when they got you back, they are near your family. Of course, they would discipline you, and they would put your child, much like this, hands bound together with this, and her feet would be bound together like this, and the child had to sit like this. But that wasn't the worst part. The slave master didn't do it. The mom or dad, whoever ran away, had to do it. Imagine having put your child in that situation, and you got to do it. All your child could do is fall to the left or the right.
You saying the parent had to do that?
The parent had to do it as punishment for running away. Yes.
That is see that? That is something else. I looked at him earlier. I couldn't believe it because I told you I just watched a program about William Steele on PBS this morning, and brought tears to my eyes. He put his life on the line for the Underground Railroad, and he published diaries, but he used to hide them in the graveyard every day. Nobody would think to go look in the graveyard. To this day, they say that he's the reason why slaves were reunited.
Right.
Because when you know what the thing is, divide and conquer. You got a wife and children. They separate you to make you. I don't know if the strategy worked. To me, that just made me mad and make me want to run away. If you take my wife one place and take my kids somewhere else, but they did it as a way, I guess, as punishment. Punishment. And to me, to make a long story short and bring that home, because of William Steele, the records that he kept allow people to trace their heritage. He wound up meeting his own brother 40 years later. He was just like me and you.
That's amazing.
The man wanted to ask him some questions about his family, kind of find out that was his brother. I don't know if I told you the story. The mother ran away from the plantation.
Yes.
She took the two daughters with her. You would think they took the two boys, but the reason was you take the weakest with you.
Yes.
So you take the two girls with you because they know that the slave master had his way with the women.
Absolutely.
So they figured the two strong ones were the boys. They can handle the slavery, and if one day they decide to run away or get away, they would do it. And I thought that was, they said this lady, William Steele's mother, had to bear that burden on her heart and soul until she died, that she had to leave two of her children behind and take two of the girls with them.
She had no choice.
To have freedom.
Yes.
That's how much she wanted freedom, and her children to have that. And I cried at that. My wife said I'm emotional anyway.
Yes.
But when I saw that program, and it's just ironic, me and you were doing the show today, and I saw it at 5 o'clock this morning. And it was an hour-and-a-half documentary on PBS. And if you ever watch PBS, they always have something good on Black History Month. Well, we got a lot of things going on, and you're a motivational speaker too, also, and a black historian. So what do you got going on in the month of Black History Month?
Well, I travel a lot to different locations, and Black History Month, this month, I'm not doing anything really other than visiting, but I'll be in Little Rock, South Carolina on the 17th of March. Whenever I
Okay.
go to talk to the churches, I always incorporate Black
Mm.
History Month, because Black History Month to me is every day. It's not a 29, 28-day month. It's every
Right.
day we wake up with Black History.
Right.
So that's the way I do it.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm glad you brought that up. My thing is every day is Black History to me because somebody set the standard for me and you to even have this opportunity to voice our opinion,
Absolutely.
really to even talk. A lot of people take that for granted. Somebody died for me and you, Ulisses, to have this opportunity to sit here and talk about Black history free. Um,
In Georgia.
and and the thing that bothered me, remember I told you about the Fugitive Slave Act
Yes.
about 1850? How can you imagine that you were a business owner, a stable business owner, a family man, now all of a sudden they pass that act and they can come take you away and take you back to South Carolina or Georgia, wherever you were from. So what it did was, it was to me, it was a scare tactic to make you constantly always looking over your back
And
and
it
not
worked
knowing.
to a degree.
It worked to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think, to me, I think it made blacks stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I think it put them more together. I always say that when we were slaves, we had Jesus in our life.
Right.
When God took the shackles off our feet, we forgot all about Jesus. But when you have a crisis or something that unites the black people, I think that did that. Because the effect was to destroy the Underground Railroad. Like we talked about earlier,
Yep.
it didn't do that.
Didn't do it.
So, you know, with today's trailblazers, I know you talked about Al Sharpton. Is in the black community, on national level, does anybody, or the worldwide level, does anybody come to mind?
Well, of course, the president and his
Mm-hmm.
wife are great trailblazers. And I think the black parents are trailblazers.
Mm,
With
yeah.
all that we have to put up with,
Yeah.
and then go to work and go home and take care of our business, take care of our kids, and take care of our community, I think everybody that take care of their family is a trailblazer in their own unique way.
Well, you know, I don't want to say was it the last Nobel Peace Prize. I think it was either 3 black women or 2 black women from Africa, and I want to say the lady from China who was under house arrest. I think she got a Nobel Prize. But there's some people in the world doing global work. What do you think about these mega churches, these black mega churches?
Well, I have my concerns about mega churches, but in theory they work.
Are you you like that prosperity preaching? Is it me and my wife go back and forth with this. To me, and even though if you want to donate to the show and
Yes.
be involved with Bishop Justus Ministries, there's going to be a number on there for you to donate to the show and help me with Bishop Justus Ministries because I'm going to Africa in June.
Right.
But I'm not a prosperity preacher. And my thing is, I don't think you have to pay to get a prayer.
I concur completely.
That's why Jesus Christ was crucified in the first place. He took the middleman out, the priest and the preachers. You're supposed to give the first or the best to the preachers, the priest, so they can pray for you. That's the problem I got with these black mega churches. Give me all you got and let me pray for you.
Yeah.
What? The devil is a liar.
Oh, but not just black, white.
Well, yeah, I can pray for myself, Ulysses. I don't, and that's just my opinion. That's just
Yes.
Bishop Justus' opinion that I can pray for myself. Now, if you call me up and ask for prayer, we got a prayer line. I pray for you because you asked me to do that, and that's the thing that thus says the Lord I'm instructed to do. But to me, I think as an individual, now your relationship between God is your business.
I agree.
And I think and you say white, but I got it. The black mega churches to me are the ones that harpen. I came up in that Reverend Ike era,
Me too.
So in New York City, Reverend Ike just said, "Give me $1. Just give me $1." And Reverend Ike became a millionaire, offered to give me that $1. And I came up with White Right Baptist Church with Ashford and Simpson, Melba Moore, and Freddie Jackson. But religion then, going to church you didn't have any option.
No.
So, but what do you think is going on now with the kids today?
Well,
with the church?
what's going on, no doubt, is a lot of kids just don't attend church. In fact, a lot of parents don't attend church because they say some of the reasons are I'm too busy, or the people at church are not doing the right things with the monies, or the people in the pulpits aren't doing the right thing in their personal life, which example, there are some examples out there I'm not going to say, but we all know what they are.
Yeah.
But to me, I grew up in Little Rock, South Carolina. We had 2 churches, and every Sunday you went to church. If you play that game with my grandma and you say, well, I don't feel like it, if she didn't see blood or bone, she said you'll feel better when you cut back home from church, but you're going to church. So it was no option. When you give a child an option, they're going to take the lesser of the 2 evils, which means stay home.
Right. But another thing too that we have that's, to me, Ulysses, is better than anybody else. We have the discipline. We have the military. Now I tell people all the time, you know, whatever problems I had in my life or my past, it had nothing to do with my parents. It was the dumbest decision that I made, and I tell people all the time, preach this. If you got to think about it, and you know it's wrong,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Well, if your Spider-Man senses start tingling, to me that's. But also you got those lessons learned in life. We all have something that has happened that, you know, we wish it didn't happen, but you take it and you learn from it. A lot of people want to take stuff that's happened negative in your life and beat you over the head with it. Especially in the black community, to me, we are not a forgiving community. But if you look back in the history of black America, we were very, very forgiving, but we were more Christian oriented. Like you said, it was mandatory that we went to church. There was no option in my house to go to church.
Mine either.
So now, though, these kids are given an option. And so when you you ask a child a question, what do you think they're gonna say?
Take the easy way out.
Right. So they're gonna, well, you gonna go to church today? No, I don't go. My dad and mom ain't giving me no. Well, were you going to church tonight? Have your butt in the car at such and such time, and let's roll.
That's it.
And then in the military churches, like, you know, even though we're talking about black history, military churches were diversified. It was a mixture, white and black. And
Had to be.
You know, I was sharing that with you. You know, I think coming up in the military, being a military dependent and being a soldier, I couldn't ask for any better thing in my life. And the only reason I joined the Army was because my dad was in the Army. And and then you spent 30 years of your life.
In 20 days.
So I commend you for that. My dad did 23, and that's just, I know you've been all over the world. Tell me some of the places you've been.
I've lived in, I got 13 years overseas assignments. Germany, Korea, Turkey, Belgium, and I spent 64 days in Africa. And stateside, Texas, Maryland, the White House during the Reagan administration, Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon 4 times. And I've been a lot of places.
I think that was me and you talking about, what do we call it in Egypt? I mean, we knew what Egypt was. That was me and you talking about Bright Star, right?
Bright Star.
Because I went to Bright Star. But we still can't figure out what you call it in Korea. Was it Team Spirit or Bold Spirit?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't recall.
I figured you'd know by today and tell me because I couldn't remember. Like you said, I spent 9 years in Germany alone. And it's like night and day. You know, I was telling you that my first babysitter was German. And that's the reason why I speak German to this day. And also she taught me Latin.
Wow.
And I kept that with me all my life. And I always, if somebody tells me they're from Germany, I always say, sprechen Sie Deutsch, or I get into that German mode. And I remember when I used to go back home to New York, all the people start laughing at me at first. But then after they start laughing, they say, speak some German, speak some German. Then they'll call everybody in the neighborhood, come listen to my crazy cousin speak German. And then back then, I'll be cursing them out.
Yeah.
Because I ain't been a preacher all my life.
I understand.
So I might have been saying something in German.
And they didn't know.
Yeah, and they laughing, and I'm just cursing you out left and right, you know. But I can't trade in that lifestyle of the military. All my children are born in military hospitals. It's just something, and I can tell you every one of them from Fort Bragg to, I have a daughter who's born in Fort Gordon, Eisenhower. My oldest boy was born in Womack. That's Fort Bragg. I have another child who's born in Augsburg. So I can tell you all those military experiences. The only thing you always kind of, back then, the military medical, we always would frown on it back then.
Back then, yes.
Yeah, you ain't want to fool around in the military hospital. You avoid it if you can. I remember my dad never went to the hospital. But now it's
great.
It's military hospitals have some of the best and brightest people and doctors working in there now. I tore my ACL playing pro ball in Europe, and a military doctor is the one to put my knee back together. And I rehabbed in about 8 months, and they had to change the program up on rehabilitation based on what I did over there. And they use that guidebook in professional sports medicine to this day off of what I did in Germany. Tell me some other things that we know we talking about President Obama.
Yes.
Somebody else comes to mind. Well, I can talk about Herman Cain, but I don't want to talk about Herman
No,
Cain right now.
let's
But
move on.
yeah, because I liked Herman, and so my thing about it, and I said it on my radio show, I think he should have been more apologetic when it first broke.
Yes.
Because, like I said, as a Christian, I'm saying if you ask for forgiveness, as Christians we're supposed to do that, and I just don't think he was apologetic about that. But anyway, we can talk about that all day.
All day.
If speaking of military, and I was looking for him to do it, but he didn't. What if Colin Powell ran? What would you think about that? If he ever decided to do it.
Actually, I think any capacity that Colin Powell decided to serve would be great for America. As president, yes, but as Secretary of State, ambassador to the United Nations, I think I'd be better suited.
Yeah, because I took a picture, I posted on my Facebook page of Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. A lot of people don't give Condoleezza Rice enough credit. She's a brilliant woman, but I think she'd have been a good candidate to run for president.
Mm-hmm.
She is just brilliant. I'm trying to think of anybody else that comes to mind that I could support that ran for president of the United States. Do you know anybody new on the right? We need some new young.
New blood, yes.
Yeah, new blood.
Mm-hmm.
In the black community. And me and you talked about it earlier. Al Sharpton and Jesse's getting old.
Yes.
And so besides Al Sharpton, who's the voice of the black community on a national level?
National level. Well, you have Tom Joyner on the radio. But
Okay.
that's not the same thing.
Well, yeah. Well, he doesn't he do to get out and vote?
Yes.
Okay, so, but he's not somebody that,
A spokesperson.
right, he's not somebody that's going to run for president, run for the United States Senate. I'm talking about somebody that on a national level that sparks your interest to make you, jump out the chair and go support.
Well, I would tell you the obvious would be Michelle Obama.
Okay, well, it's like we got to wind now, but that's like the Hillary Clinton and the Bill Clinton. When Bill come out of office, Hillary ran for president. So, hey, who says it won't happen? Well, I tell you what, Ulysses.
Thank you.
W. Maize.
Maize.
Man, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for bailing out Bishop Justus. I'm ever indebted to you. And again, you've been a blessing to me and a blessing to this show.
Has the time gone by that quick?
Yes, sir. We got to wrap it up. I got to do my closing. Let me just double check my notes.
Okay.
Again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to Bishop Justus. My very, very special guest, Mr. Ulysses Wesley Maize, motivational speaker, black historian. If you want to come to one of your events or anything during Black History Month, give me a call. My number will be on the screen. So I'll get in touch with him. Again, this is the first show kicking off Black History Month. We'll come back in another 2 weeks. And we'll thank you. Let's make sure I didn't miss anybody. And we thank you for tuning in to Bishop Justus. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to call me at any time. Again, thank you. God bless you. See you next time.